All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hey, I hope everybody's enjoyed the first two presentations. As I told you up front, this is a lot of information, a lot of nuggets that I think we're all gleaning out of our guests who've been so generous with their time today. But just a reminder, if you look on your tables, you see the table tents that have the QR code. And you also have the QR code on your agenda. So again, all the slides you're getting today that are packed with so much information, your speaker bios, which you can thank me later, I'm deliberately not reading to save us a little bit of time and hopefully give us some Q&A, but all of that stuff is contained on our website, and those slides, like I said, they'll be hung when we're done today. So again, please leverage the QR code on the table tent in the agenda. There's one other item on your tables. You're probably wondering, what the heck is this? Fairly self-explanatory, but it is a resource card. And what we're really looking to do with this is we want to kind of crowdsource a document leveraging the diverse group of people that we've assembled today. And so the instructions are on there on one side, but this card is intended to help us create a workforce directory. We have some in the community, but people are changing positions, and there's so many programs out there that I think we don't always appreciate the totality of what we have. And so give you a couple examples, but there are some of you here today, you're already in workforce development. It's your job, it's what you do. So I think filling this out and highlighting your resource, pretty straightforward, right? We have employers here today. Stuart mentioned, work-based learning programs that Kia has, student class visits, again, teacher externships perhaps. Those are all things I would like our employers to fill out on this card. Give me your point of contact. We'll put that in the directory. But a lot of us here today are educators. And so this is where I really need your help. But you have assets within your schools, resources that we want to know about. And it could be something like a robotics club. And you might think, well, I have a robotics club, but so do some of my other sister schools. Well, maybe we have multiple school systems here today. And so what I like to do is catalog that resource. And you may get a phone call from another school that's looking to stand up a like function. And that's why we want you to include that. So think through our different clubs that we have out there that are workforce related. Think about some of our student bodies, CTAE students perhaps, and some of the career pathways we have. I want to catalog all that on this card today. So when you're done filling them out, we have a whiteboard that's out in the foyer. We kind of spaced out of this room today, so it's located out in the foyer, and there's some tape there, and you can just tape it up on the board. But you can also leave it at your table or hand it to any one of our staff, and we'll make sure it gets where it needs to go. But this is a resource we really want to leverage you for. And once we finish compiling all of your cards, all of your inputs, we'll make that available to you hopefully sooner than later after we finish today. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next panel, Talent Talks. And you can see in front of you, we've brought together multiple senior leaders from some of our largest employers within our region and on both sides of the river. This group is going to illuminate for us viable career pathways for students within our region. They're going to help us understand how our students can start preparing now for a seamless transition into a career when they graduate. And they're also going to highlight some of the challenges that they face. You've heard some already when it comes to maintaining an optimal workforce. And they're also going to articulate some of the investments that their organizations currently make in their workforce so they can maintain it and of course, grow it. Your moderator today is behind me, Colin Martin, the Area Manager of External Affairs for AT&T, and Colin is going to introduce his panelists. So Colin.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. It's great to be here today. I'm actually going to let the panelists introduce themselves. If you would give your name, your role at your company, that would be great. So we'll start.
Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Jay Cosmas. I'm the general manager for the Pratt & Whitney facility over in Columbus, Georgia.
Hi, my name is Brian Denny. I'm the Human Resources Manager for VectorPly Corporation in Phoenix City, Alabama.
Good morning. I'm Audrey Tillman, and I am Executive Vice President and General Counsel for Aflac Incorporated.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Hill. I'm the President and CEO of the Piedmont Columbus Regional Hub and also a Corporate Senior Vice President for Piedmont Healthcare out of Atlanta.
Well, we appreciate all of you taking time out of your busy schedule today, so we'll just get right to the questions. Obviously, as employers, you've got workforce needs, and those needs continue to evolve. What are the skills and attributes that you're looking for, and how have they changed over time? And kind of to dig a little deeper, what are the challenges you are having hiring new employees with the right skill set? And particularly, we heard earlier from Stuart Countess about, the perception of, say, manufacturing versus the current reality of manufacturing. Are you seeing challenges there where students hear what your company does, but then what they picture in their mind is not what is actually going on? So we'll start with Jay.
Yeah, Colin, appreciate the question. I'm probably going to sound redundant with what Stuart talked earlier, but I think probably three-part answer. One, it's not just the students that are coming in or potential new employees coming in. It's changing their mindset. It's also the educators, the parents, right? If I think about our facility, it is in essence no different than Stuart's state-of-the-art campus, right? We've spent nearly $1 billion since 2008 to create the premier engine overhaul facility for Pratt & Whitney on our premier platform. So, well lit, automation, etc. So I think it's, helping the new employees coming in, the parents, the educators, that it is a path for progression. You can come in entry-level mechanic, really progress your way up. Example, I started on the shop floor, and I had people that took a vested interest in me, but I owned 51% of my career path and pushed myself. So that's maybe one piece. And then it's complementing that with the soft skills and the hard skills. You talk, Colin, about, some of maybe the negative things we've seen over time. Just coming to work on time, following rules, right? If I look at what we do day in and day out, people's lives depend on it, right? We're putting people in the air, whether that's commercial flight or military flight. I need folks that can come in, follow rules, because what they do, ultimately at the end of the day, people's lives depend on it. So it's a mix of those soft skills and hard skills, yeah.
Brian?
Yeah, I think most of us are going to have a lot of the same sentiment, but at VectorPly, so we make composite reinforcement fabric, so that's material that goes into making boats, light poles all down at the Civic Center, Riverwalk, automobiles, things like that. It's not necessarily that we have a problem hiring people, it's, the coming to work. There's an entire subset in our community, and not just here, but all over, I think, that's very content on just surviving, right? They're going to get a little handout from here, a little, sleep on a friend's couch or something, and they're very content with that. And I think the hard part is how in the school systems and as employers, how do we encourage those people? Because they're very bright, right? And I've met a lot of them, interviewed a lot of them, and they're so smart, they'll spend an hour trying to figure out how to get out of 10 minutes worth of work, right? They're really smart. How do we harness that intelligence and put it in a positive direction, right? There's a lot of great people out there that are just skating. I want to give them an opportunity to come into, like you said, a clean, well-lit facility. I don't need anybody that's got a college degree. I'm looking for the kid that's in a junior or senior in high school that maybe is, getting by, has no interest in going to college, because I can teach them their technical skill that they need to be successful in our facility. We'll meet them where they need to be met and help guide them through our process. We have mentorship programs in our facility for students. We have a few high school students right now. I know the gentleman from Kia said, or somebody said that they watch grandma drop somebody off at work every day, and I see out of my office at shift change, well, a little bit after shift change, a second shifter whose grandma drops him off after school, and he works from 4 to 10. We have a 3 to 11 shift, but we accommodate for that. So I think, employers, we got to shift and maneuver and do things different. If our policy says we can't do this, well, as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical and safe, we can rewrite the policy to do whatever we need it to do to be beneficial for our company and our employees. So.
Thank you. Well, we obviously invest a lot in our employees, and we'd rather use our existing employees in positions moving forward than we would hire from the outside. We certainly hire all the time, but when we have circumstances where this function or this division is just not needed anymore, or we're transitioning to this function and need this skill set, we'd rather invest through partnerships like Columbus Tech. We need more of this skill set now. We'd rather use these people who understand the Aflac way and who've demonstrated that they can be successful in the Aflac way than we would take in someone that's, kind of sight unseen, although we do indeed do that. So I think adaptability is something that we always are looking for employees. The ability to pivot because the world pivots, and we want an energy that's always self-developing. We have a lot of things that we put at people's disposal to take courses, to obtain degrees. We absolutely have so many people at the company who have a high school diploma who have used the Aflac scholarships to get their undergraduate degree and even their graduate degrees. So it's a lot there for people to develop themselves and to be successful in their careers. However, I will say this, that people need to own their own career trajectory. We are looking for grown-ups who can take their career and their future in their hands and drive it, because we'll have things available, but you're going to need to go get it. And the same in your career. We don't have, I think one of the gentlemen on the other panel said we have a very strict process for promotion. Ours, not so much. You've got to distinguish yourself, and there will be opportunities to do that, but you've got to do it. So it's a lot of ownership and maturity that's needed to work in an environment like ours, that sometimes someone directly out of high school can offer, sometimes they can't. Like I'd love to look out my window and see grandma dropping somebody off, but grandma can't call and be like, why wasn't his performance appraisal what it should have been? You got to be a grown-up when you come inside those doors and own your career and your work, and then take advantage of the multitude of things that are there for you to benefit you in the long term.
Yeah, so from a healthcare perspective, I was just actually telling Audrey right before we started the panel, we have layers inside of our organization. We absolutely need entry-level high school diploma folks to fill jobs. And then, you look at that layer, desperately needed in many ways, areas like environmental services, dietary, plant operations, engineering, patient care techs, those types of things. Then we also have a layer, which I would call maybe just, above that, which is, your career and technical. Maybe someone who goes to Columbus Tech, they get a degree certificate to be a phlebotomist or a radiology assistant, or, again, patient care tech. There's a number of career needs at that level also. And then beyond that, then you're starting to look at the degree programs for nursing, either associate's degree, a 2-year degree, or a 4-year degree, radiology training the same way, CT techs, MRI techs, those types of things. And then beyond that, you go into, graduate training, and beyond that with physicians, it's in some cases 12 years of training, right, to be a neurosurgeon. So, there's a wide array of levels within the healthcare environment. But at every level, from my perspective, we need people who have interpersonal skills. And I hate to boil it down and put it that simple, but healthcare is a people business. I say all the time, there's a fundamental transaction that occurs in our industry. Our patient, customer, walks through the door typically at one of the weakest moments in their life. We provide them with a service, and then ultimately we should get paid for that service. We don't always get paid for that service, but at the end of the day, that's the fundamental transaction that happens in healthcare. And there are so many people and processes that touch the most basic. If somebody comes in for a basic outpatient surgery, you talk about lab and radiology and phlebotomy, and there's probably 15 different disciplines that touch one patient coming into our doors for a very basic procedure. And so the interpersonal skill set and being able to work on a team is absolutely the biggest need we have at every level of our organization. And, I kind of put it out there, y'all, so forgive me. It's lacking. It's lacking in many ways. And you all, I'm sure the educators in the room know it. You can feel it. Kids today live through their phones. They'll sit in the same room and text each other instead of talk to each other. And in the healthcare environment, that could cause someone to die. I hate to be so grave about it, but every person that walks through our door, if we're providing them a process in healthcare, and a part of that gets missed, it could ultimately lead to their demise. And that's the heavy aspect of what we do. So interpersonal is absolutely at the very top of our list from a perspective of the type of employee we're looking for, really at every level. We got to have folks that can function on a team because lives depend on it.
I would echo that, and we don't have lives at stake. Or the other panelist was talking about airplanes. You can't make a mistake because we're all flying on those airplanes. But in a company like ours, with insurance, we're not selling shoes or microphones or something you can look at and say, I like this microphone or I don't. The only encounter you have with the product that you bought is the people that work there. So those people have got to be interested. They got to be engaged. They got to know what they're talking about and be able to articulate it. And if they can't do that, then this product isn't so great. Let me go over here to his product. So we've lost business. We take that very, very seriously. So when we're hiring people. If you're an accountant or a programmer or on the phones or a lawyer, can you articulate what Aflac is in a positive way to whoever your customer is? And if you can, go this way, sir. If you can't, okay, go this way. And it's just as simple as that. So any assistance that as you touch these young people who will be applying to all of our organizations, any assistance you can give to underscoring that is going to put them miles ahead of the competition.
Audrey, we'll start the next question with you if you don't mind, because you've already kind of alluded to this. Producing graduates who are career ready is a mantra we frequently hear in public education. But as you alluded to, there's a distinction between a job and a career that young people might not fully yet comprehend. What are some of the career paths your company offers? What investments are you making in your workforce, not only to achieve organizational objectives, but to retain people and then to enable them to grow professionally?
Yeah, we do a lot of investments in our people, our full-time employees and people that we are recruiting or trying to steer, like through the internship or the externship program. We have countless opportunities as an employee. We have a very robust leadership, learning, and development program that's free of charge to any employee, where they can take courses, whether it's to help them with the skill sets needed for this job or the job I'm looking for, or just in leadership, or how to be a better professional. There are designations that the company pays for that people can pursue. They don't have to, but they can. And in my view, that level of interest and energy that I'm going to pursue these designations are the things I look at when we look at promoting people. But that's all there and it's available. We have the AFLAC scholarships. One of them is with Columbus State, where if you meet the criteria, you can come here, matriculate, and AFLAC pays for your degree. And we have it with Auburn and with other universities, even beyond undergraduate. We have internships that are a feeding tool for employment. It used to be a time when our internship program was, my nephew, he needs a job, give him something to do. That's not the case anymore. Now we hire people as interns that we hope will work out, and we can hire them as full-time employees. We have externships where students are in school, schools like CSU, UGA, Georgia Tech, where they're in school, but they're also working at the company and seeing, on the ground what it's like to work there. And we'd love for those to work out, so we can hire those students as well. And I mean, if you come to AFLAC, even with a high school diploma, and again, I know leaders who are exceptional leaders at the company who were hired with a high school diploma. Some of them went on to get their college degree, some of them didn't, but they're bedrock people that we've built the company upon. You can come with a high school diploma, avail yourself of the internal or external educational and development opportunities that are free to you by way of your employment with AFLAC, and have an exceptional career. And I think that's one of the things that really distinguishes us, and that there, if you look around the company, you can see examples of those people who have done exactly that.
Scott, what about Piedmont?
Yeah, so when you look at what we're trying to accomplish as an organization, we've had to do a number of things. COVID really wrecked everybody's workforce. Everybody felt COVID, but in healthcare, we felt it in a little bit different way. Because we had a lot of healthcare professionals really at every level in the organization. Many that were close to the ends of their careers, that left the workforce early, that left huge needs within the organization. Another thing that happened during that time, which has been a real challenge for us, is we've seen folks that coming out of, say, a nursing program or just education in general, when they come into the workforce, they're less ready. So actually, there's a new step in the process of what we call our career advancement, and the first one is orientation. In many ways, our orientation is more extended now than it's ever been, because what happened when COVID was going on, there was a shift to computer-based learning and sim lab learning. Well, it's great to be, and we have wonderful sim labs at all of the educational institutions we work at, of the folks that we work with, who provide graduates who come into our organization. But there's a big difference between doing work on a simulated patient one at a time and being on a floor where you have 5 patients who all have different needs. And so what we've seen coming in the door is there's a real need for extended orientation for just about every job in our organization. And then beyond that, because of COVID right now, many job codes, we've created levels within jobs so that you can have career progression and still be in the same job. A good example is a surgical tech, someone who probably would have come to us from Columbus Tech to be a surgical tech inside of the operating room. There's levels 1, 2, 3, and 4 right now. And so as you gain skills and expertise, you move, from surgical tech 1 to surgical tech 2, and with that comes a little bit of a pay increase. So we've had to kind of create these levels within job codes to show salary and career progression, so that folks don't get bored or start to look other places. Well, I can go there and make $1 more an hour. Well, you can also learn these skills here, stay right where you're at, and make $2 more an hour. That type of thing. So we've worked really hard on that. But I'll give you a basic, a very basic career path in healthcare, and that it's that of someone who would be, in the vein of a nurse. We have folks that, some do start out as patient care techs. They'll work on their degree. They'll get maybe an associate's degree and then get their RN, move into the RN role. We will see people from there work on their 4-year degree and get their BSN. in, within that same nursing function. And then, from there, within the professional categories, the more experience you get as a nurse, you might be relied on to then be a charge nurse. Then maybe you're supervising, a unit, or you're managing a unit to the director level, to, the senior director level inside of nursing, even chief nursing officer within an organization. You can actually, have that career progression. I've seen people within my career do that all in the same organization. That, I work with people who have been, at Piedmont Columbus Regional Health. If you go all the way back, the medical center, and even beyond that, the city hospital. They've been with us 40 years, that have had their entire career within the four walls of our organization, and they've grown that way. And so there's tremendous opportunity for career progression in just about every job category and code. And we've created some of it, but some of it is natural within the industry. And so we have a lot of opportunity for career progression, pay progression, as one gains more experience, if they're willing to put in the time. And that's to the point about owning your own career path. You have to do that. You have to say, I want to be, the CNO of a hospital one day. Okay, great, go after it. Here's what it looks like. You can do it if you want to do it. We need CNOs right now. I know people who came up through the nursing line who are CEOs of major health systems that started out as a 2-year nurse with an associate's degree. So the opportunity's there if you want to put the work in.
Jason?
Yeah, maybe what I would say, I'm going to take our wall-to-wall process and break it down as simple as I can. We have engines that come in, disassembly process, then there's our supply chain process, reassembly, testing, and inspection, and then we process the engines out. From an hourly perspective coming in, somebody graduating high school that maybe doesn't want to go down the 4-year educational path can come in very similar to what Scott just talked, start off as a level 4 in any one of those 4 areas. So take the upfront process of disassembly and clean and inspection. Come in as a level 4. There are set soft skill and hard skill requirements to progress from a level 4 all the way up to a level 0, and then there's a merit increase that would follow that. So folks that say, hey, leadership isn't for me, I want to be more hands-on as an hourly mechanic, and I see myself fulfilling that out through the next 40 years till I retire, that's perfectly fine. And we threw some figures around from a wage perspective. Folks can make north of 6 figures doing that as they progress. There's overtime that will complement that, and they can become very proficient in their craft, right? And these are folks that, within 10 to 15 years are that senior level mechanic that is now training new employees coming in. So there's that path for progression. I would say there's a balance of, I don't have a statistic around this, but most folks don't know at 17 what they want to do, right? I can speak for myself, in high school, I had no clue, and I was pushed to go to 4-year. I graduated, with a business finance degree, and unfortunately at the time, there were a lot of reductions in finance, right? So I went back and got my stationary engineer's license, started as an hourly mechanic, and kind of went that way. One thing that we do, and I think a lot of us as employers are talking, you come in, we will, through our employee scholar program, we will fund your education. We will put you to school. So if you come in, you're making a great wage, working 40 hours plus overtime, happy doing what you're doing, you're progressing, hands-on training, we will fully fund your 4-year school. We will put you back for your master's degree. We will pay for that. Maybe it's a Six Sigma certification. Maybe it's an Apex supply chain. Whatever is pertinent to your personal and professional development, we will help support. In addition to that, for our hands-on folks, we're partnering with AIM, or the Aviation Institution of Maintenance. That's a heavy cost, I'll say, to us that we bear the burden of. For a student to go achieve their A&P, or airframe and power plant license, is somewhere north of $20,000. Coming into us, we're gonna bear that cost and help that person progress with the goals of retaining that individual.
That's great. Brian?
Yeah, we're not dissimilar, right? What we've done is, I'll talk about a couple different paths. You know, those that want to go into either leadership or a salaried position, and those that have no interest in that but want to stay in their field, basically. So, our last 3 promotions, you know, we promoted hourly people into salaried positions. One of them was a quality engineer, and that hurt because he was a great machine operator, right? But he was very well qualified, young man, local, doesn't want to go to college, but he's doing a great job. We promoted a supervisor, another great machine operator, into a supervisory role. He's leading our 3rd shift. And we promoted a warehouse employee to our parts and supplies supplies coordinator position. So he runs he's ordering all of our parts, supplies, maintains the part room, got it all barcoded and everything. So those are some 3 great success stories right there. Last year we had an internship program. It was the first year we've had a formalized internship program. One of those people started this spring full-time in our sales and marketing department. We got another one that, you know, we're hoping will come back this fall to our company in a full-time role. She was so great, we're trying to figure out what we can do to create a role for her, right? We identified a great talent there. The other one is how our structure is. When you come in off the street, you don't have to have a high school diploma. You just got to have a want to be a part of something successful and special, and maybe, you know, make some money, right? So they come in as an entry-level machine operator, and then they can go into a machine operator training program. We have a formalized program where they're with a trainer, and they have biweekly checkoffs that they have to go show they're making progress. It's very, very structured. Once they complete that program as an operator trainee, they get promoted to a machine operator. So there's an increase that comes with all that. And then the next level is operator senior, and then operator tech. Well, within operator senior and operator tech, we've developed multiple layers within those positions, but there's a catch to that, right? I've been in manufacturing a long time. I started out in a metal stamping company as an hourly guy, as a tool and die maker on the shop floor many years ago. And there were people that would get promoted to a certain position. They'd get up to about here, and they'd kind of go on cruise control, right? Certain people work in circles around them, but they're on cruise control because they've been here for 10 years, and they're in this position, and what you gonna do, right? So what we're working on right now, and hopefully by mid-year we'll have it, but we've got these layers made. So quarterly, if you're at a certain position, you're gonna get evaluated on your attendance, on your productivity, on your quality. And if you're in this top operator tech role making X number of dollars an hour and you don't meet it, boop, you get bopped down to the next level. We gotta hold people responsible and accountable. If we're paying you at this wage, we expect this much. And we got people that I know can do it. But it's just a different way of looking at things for growth there. We've talked to a few of our informal leaders on the shop floor about it, and they're excited, right? Because they see the same things that I saw when I was an hourly person. You know, I'm over here running my machine at X rate, and so is one's running the machine right next to me at this rate, but we're getting paid the same. How fair is that? So those are new ideas. You know, as industry, we have to evolve, make changes, and, you know, do things different.
Well, Brian, we'll start with you with the next question. And talking about entry-level workforce, you guys have alluded to the soft skills or the work skills that people need, but let's talk about what are the trends, positive, negative, both, that you're seeing with your entry-level workforce. We have a room full of a lot of educators, and this is a great opportunity to provide feedback to them on what adjustments you'd like to see within curriculum or exposure opportunities, or, you know, any other instruction or whatever to help get those students ready to be work ready when they graduate. So Brian, we'll start with you.
All right, so it's going to sound silly, and I'm sure everybody does this, but you don't have to dress in a suit and tie for a job interview.
What?
But
I got dressed up today for this.
But don't wear sweatpants, your Adidas slides, and a t-shirt with a big marijuana leaf on it or something. And when you're in the waiting room, don't sit like this on your phone and say, "Sup." Just have, and I want to take a pause real quick. I challenge everybody in this room tonight or whenever, tomorrow, this weekend, go open your Netflix account and watch the movie The Forge. Okay? If you have not watched that movie, everybody in this room must watch it. I'm telling you right now, you have to watch it. Because you'll start saying ding, 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 ding. All these light bells are going off about, and not just our community, like I said before, it's all communities. Watch that movie, The Forge. And, you know, what I just did, that's a scene in that movie, basically. And it goes into a lot of good things about it. But I see that every day. You know, the good things is, over the last couple years, I've started to see juniors and seniors get more interested in manufacturing. Some of it's because their parents work for us, and I think their parents are helping them be interested. But I'm seeing a lot more interest in that. And then they're telling their friends, hey man, I'm making X number of dollars an hour, and man, it's air conditioned in the summer, and I don't got to do this, and man, I don't have to lift nothing because we got these tools that do, that's really cool in here. And there's a lot of that starting to go around, and that's the icebreaker I think manufacturing specifically needs for some of these young people, like I said earlier, that don't want to leave this area. They have no intention of going to college. I didn't have any intention on going to, well, I didn't go to college right out of high school. I went to the Marines. Did a lot of different things. So there's a lot of people out there, like I said before, that are very, very bright. I just don't want to deal with school for whatever reason. And if we can get them into our facility, I can harness their positive vibes, get them focused on something that they enjoy. And when you enjoy something, you're going to be successful at it, right? So I can get them focused on that, get them going in the right direction. That's a win for the company, and that's a win for them because they're making money for them or their families. They got good benefits. And if they want to go on later in life to college, like you know, I have people at our facility do, that's great. We'll help them do that too. So, you know, the big thing is, you know, if you're going to go, help them understand that if you're going to go to a job interview, do the very basics. You know, wear your nice tennis shoes, wear a nice pair of jeans, wear a polo shirt. I don't care the brand. You know, it doesn't matter to me. And just sit up straight, good firm handshake, be respectful. That'll get you in most doors. So.
Audrey?
If I were interacting with high school students who are readying for their next step, I think the best thing you could do is to help paint a realistic picture of what work life and just life is outside of high school. And by that I mean I see not just people who apply, because I'm not very close to the application and interview process, to be totally candid, but just in life, kids around. It's as though they don't understand that it's really a competition, to be honest. And those who present themselves in the very best possible way are going to win. And those who don't are not. And that's just how it is. I mean, if there's a job that there's an interview for, and it's 27 candidates for one job, then really what you start to do is look for ways to strike off people, because you got to get to the one. So if you're not presenting yourself in the very best possible way, you're making it easy to be excluded. And I wonder sometimes if young people understand that. I use the word competition. I know that might not be a great word, or too harsh or too mean or whatever, but it is. You're competing with the other people who also want this job, or who also want this promotion, or who also want this fill in the blank. Rarely is it ever just you that's interested in anything, even a significant other. Probably other people interested in them too. So govern yourselves accordingly. And I don't feel like I'll give you an example. Over the weekend, I was a young lady who I know her family, and she's a local high school person, is at a college now. She's interested in a sorority. That's my sorority. So she came over to see if I would write her a letter, and I know her well enough, and okay, I'll write it. So I'm explaining to her, okay, well, I'll write you a letter, but now are you good on this, and this? Because you want to be chosen. This is not automatic. And the shock that she had about that. Genuine shock. So I can turn in all of this and I may not be chosen? No, ma'am. In fact, you probably won't be if you don't understand that, because you're not putting your best foot forward at every turn. And I think that's missing. So as educators, if you can paint a realistic picture of when you leave here, it's all systems go. Don't ever miss an opportunity to put yourself. I'll give you another example, then I'll stop. But these are real life examples. So at Aflac, we have a really robust college internship programs, and we are very meticulous about where we go because we want a representation of every type of education and background, et cetera. So I was in the elevator with a young woman. It was a Friday, so we were dressed down. And this woman had her college, letters across her. And I said, oh my gosh, I know, so, do you know this person? And I love the Fountain City Classic. Do you come up for the Fountain City Classic? Just da-da-da-da-da. Here I am in an elevator, this young lady. She probably didn't know who I was. She wasn't one of my interns, so she probably didn't know, oh, well, that's, Audrey. But she knew I worked there. I'm not 25, so she probably could figure I was pretty senior. Was getting on the elevator, chatting it up. This is an educated person. That young lady gave me nothing. I mean, nothing. Oh, do you do that? No. Well, how about so-and-so and so-and-so? Mm-mm. Well, did you do? Yes. So I get off the elevator, and again, I'm like, well, it was literally 45 seconds, so okay. Happened to see her again in the cafeteria. And I'm in there with Daniel P. Amos in the cafeteria, who's our CEO that everybody in Columbus knows who he is. So I'm walking through, and lo and behold, oh, I know her. Like, this was a girl who wouldn't talk to me in the elevator. So I'm trying to talk with her, just, and then I'm like, Dan, this is one of our interns. She's from X school. And he's like, oh, okay, are you having a great summer? Yes. Are you da-da-da-da-da? No. I give up. But that same opportunity with somebody else who's there as an intern would have jumped on that, and I would remember their name to this day. And if their name came up and I had the opportunity to say yes for her or no for her, I'd probably say no. And that's how it goes. And I don't think students understand that. So you can help with that because they're coming with the education. They have the skills to do it. But things like that ruin it every day. I see it all the time.
Scott, you probably have the most direct pipeline from school to work with all the healthcare programs. Talk about that.
Well, you said a lot, and I just want to say, she said it all, thanks. As the father of 3 daughters, 2 of which had been through sorority rush at Auburn, I hated to see him get knocked around, but there was a small part of me that was kind of like, this is life. This is the way it works. For us, I will specifically talk about healthcare because most of the time in healthcare, if you talk to anybody who's in it, you say, why did you decide to become a nurse? It was a calling. I was called to it. I just really felt like I wanted to care for other people. And so there's this call to care. Most people who enter into a healthcare, even an entry-level job, why do you want to go to work at a hospital? For some, it could be, hey, it's great benefits. It's a great organization, great opportunity to have a good paying job, and and it's a stable work environment, that type of thing. But for most, All of them will take, and they'll say, well, I wanted to work in in a hospital so I could be around people and try to, I feel called to it. For us, I think one of the major challenges we have is that in this generation now, I do feel like, and I'm very open with my team and all of our leaders in our organization about this, I feel like the current generation is less called to care. And it's because of, I believe, some of the degradation of the interpersonal relationship. Go back to what I talked about before. And, the example that I give to my team is we're dealing with a generation that lives their life through their phone. They want to get as many likes and clicks as they can get. That's their goal. And we're also dealing with so back when most of us grew up, if there was a fight, think about what happened if there was a fight. There's probably a couple pushes and a shove and maybe a punch thrown. And then somebody would step in and break it up. Just about, right? I mean, now, if there's a fight, this generation of kids pulls out their phone and they film it until somebody gets knocked out or hurt bad. That's what we're dealing with as a society. And I'm not down. I'm not down at all. I've got my youngest daughter is in high school right now, and I've got one in college and another one that's just out and new to the workforce. So I've got that generation in my house. I'm not down on them. They're the most technologically advanced generation ever. If you can try to figure out a way to get them to do work on their phone, do it, because they'll get it done. But be ready for the fact that they'll have free time too, because they'll get it done quicker than you can give it to them on their phone, and then they'll be like, okay, what's next? Oh, okay, I'll open up my Instagram account, see what's going on until they tell me to do something else. That's what we're dealing with. And so for us in healthcare, we've seen this kind of lack of folks that are called to care in a way that maybe, the 30-year, nurse who's been working on the same unit has been there and forgotten more about nursing than any new grad will ever know. Right, and that's the bread and butter. That's the fabric of the organization that makes it work. That's what I really feel like from a healthcare perspective is a real challenge. Is where we don't see folks that are interested. We have folks come in, they'll apply to be, and come to work as a PCT, patient care tech. One of the toughest, I would say, you might be the hardest job in healthcare. You get up close and personal with every patient. This is the person that bathes you and cleans you. And it's also, for us right now, our highest job category and job code of turnover. Because they're coming in the door and they're like, it's not that it's too hard, it's just I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that was the job. So now we won't hire a patient care tech unless they go onto the floor for a period of time and actually observe the job being done. That's a prerequisite to be hired as a patient care tech. Because what we can't have is someone go, well, I didn't know I was going to be providing personal care in a very private way. Yes, that's what you do. And they have to understand that fundamental aspect of the job or we just can't hire them. So that's been a real challenge, I think, and it probably for everybody, but in healthcare more so because it's such a personal thing. And it's so people and personality oriented.
Jason?
Yeah, maybe just complementing the discussion. When I think about diminishing trends when it comes to like soft skills and hard skills, I'll probably tell a short story on the soft skill side. I took over my role a couple of years ago over at Pratt & Whitney, and I can remember one of my first weeks driving into the plant, and we have 16 EV vehicle spots carved out, and drive by, and I had to do a double take because every spot was filled. I'm like, wow, we really care about the community. Everybody's driving EV vehicles. But then I looked, and I've got a lifted F-250. I got a conversion van. There wasn't one EV vehicle in there, and it's clearly stated on every sign, right? EV parking only. So the first thing I do, I go into the plant, I round up my staff, we all go out, and I don't say anything. We just sit there and we look, and they're like, oh yeah, we really got a problem here, and yeah, we walk by this every day. And so, like, my challenge here is everybody in this room, in some vein, whether we're an educator or an employer, we're all leaders, and we're all here because we want to drive change, right? And every day, somebody on my staff walked by that, right? So where I went, we had all hands, I think, just happened to be scheduled the next week. I had a slide up there with a picture of vehicles, right? And I started my opener with what we do, people's lives depend on it. And I have zero confidence that anybody that can't read the sign and park in a parking spot, an adequate parking spot, outside of the four walls can follow a work instruction inside the four walls, okay? So I bring that up because I think it's important to be direct. How do we shift that back to, we heard folks talk about engagement at the 5th grade level or even beyond that. How do we go influence that in the community, shape that mindset? Because it's true, right? If I can't follow the rules when I come into the gate, what makes me think when I'm looking or when I'm not looking? And quite frankly, I need it all the time, 365. There's 2 days a year we do not work in our factory. It's Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that trend needs to pick up, right? And I weigh heavily as a leader in how I influence that. On the hard skills side, I tie back to the technical nuances of what we do, right? I'm hiring folks that literally don't know the difference between a socket. Hey, can you grab me a 1/4-inch socket? What? Like, they don't know the difference between a Phillips flathead socket, crescent wrench. And I'm not picking on them, right? But, we talked about technology, right? That is a pro. I've got folks that, Brian, you talked about, they'll spend 10 minutes to figure out how they get out of work. I have folks that come in and they want a simplified process because, not that they're lazy, but their mindset is around simplification. That's great. On the hard skill side, though, they didn't grow up like a lot of us in the room, changing a tire with dad, changing an alternator, changing oil, right? And I think, partnering with the local technical schools, high schools, we've got to change that. For me, and this might be a little bit contradictory to what we've talked about, we're hiring across the plant 300 to 400 people a year, probably for the next 3 to 5 years. We're seeing the largest commercial ramp in history across narrow body aircraft, and we're servicing those engines out of Columbus. That's a great problem to have. That 300 to 400 a year, I have got to change that mold. It isn't a matter of I can't get the quantity of people coming in. It is the burden that I'm putting on my incumbent workforce to train those folks. So the more I can do at I'm going to say the 5th grade level, through high school, through technical programs, to introduce somebody that is technically proficient, that's the hard skill ask that I have.
All right, we've got one last question, and we need to make this quick so we can get everybody's response. But we talked about getting kids to see what the careers are. So let's talk about getting young people into your facilities. So what work-based learning opportunities do y'all have? Internships, teacher externship opportunities maybe so the teachers can see, school visits, partnerships, any other kind of workforce development where we can get our students into your facilities so they can see what's being done, get interested, and maybe come to you and be ready. Scott, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'll go really quick. Really, from a perspective of students being in the facility, we have that. We have a residency program for family practice. We teach education as part of what we do. We've got relationships with Columbus Tech, Columbus State, Auburn, CVCC, you name it. Most clinicals get done inside of our organizations along with St. Francis. So there's a ton of education that goes on in this region around that. And if you have students that are choosing, healthcare as a field, they'll probably end up training in one of those facilities. We have 2 specific programs we've started. One is local and is actually getting ready to be modeled around Piedmont across all of our hospitals in the state. And it's called the Piedmont Futures Program. And so this is where we interview, it started out as 10, now we've grown it to 20. We interview, you have to be chosen, students to participate in what we call our Piedmont Futures Program. They rotate through a number of areas of the hospital, particularly in the entry-level type roles. And they get exposure to different jobs inside of healthcare. They actually do this as part of school. So Dr. Lewis and the team worked with us, and we have a strong relationship with Jordan Vocational High School, but every high school has access to this. They can apply to be a part of the program. and learn about healthcare. We also pay them. We hire them as PRN employees, so they get a basic wage coming in and being able to educate themselves about whether or not they want a career in healthcare. So that is something that we've done to great success. I think we hired 6 out of the first 10, and we expanded the program to 20 this current year. So we want to grow it because we think it's a great opportunity. The other piece that we have now inside of Piedmont, regardless of what job class you are in our organization, it's called a Career Concierge Program. And this is actually where, if you're interested in growing your career inside of our organization, we'll assign you a job coach. And they'll work with you on everything you need to do to progress throughout the different levels of your current job or explore other jobs that you can grow into around the organization. And this is actually one that Piedmont is a system-wide program at all 19 of our hospitals. So we've got a couple things going on, really trying to keep people in the organization and get them to see their career path and really understand what it means to work in the healthcare environment.
Audrey?
I feel like I probably answered that in one of my other answers with what we offer with our program.
Yeah, our doors are always open. They never used to be, but they're open now to CTE students, high school students, educators at all levels that want to come in and see what we do. People in the community, give me a call, give me an email if you want to see what we do. Come on in. We'll show you around. We gave a tour to some a group of special needs kids from Central High School, and people are asking, why do you do that? Why do you do that? You know, they're not going to be able to work there. So we want them to see. We want everybody to see. We want the experience. We want, we've hired a couple people that have gone through the Easter Skills Development Program, and it was the same thing. Wow, man, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Let's give them a chance. Come on. You know what? Man, they're growing. They found a little family, and they're growing. So our doors are open. We've got opportunities with whether it's internships, high school students. Like I say, we're proud of our facility, but we're even more proud of our people. And when you come to our facility, you're going to see people smiling, fist bumping, probably even cutting up a little too much sometimes. But they're having a good time at work. And a philosophy that I've brought with for years, and I'm glad my wife's not here because she hates it when I say this. But if we were all rich instead of so darn good looking like we all are, right? We wouldn't be working. So find something that you enjoy. Find a place where you fit in, and don't chase a dollar. I did that. Don't chase a dollar. Find a place where you feel accepted, that you feel comfortable, and you're going to succeed, and that dollar is going to come. That dollar is going to find you. So.
A little bit different at Pratt & Whitney, but tell us about what you can do.
Yeah, so echoing a lot of what we already heard. I mean, we do internships with local high schools, technical schools. We also do, I'll call it externships, if you will, with educators coming in. I'm going to put my salesman hat on here for a minute and say I'm going to offer up an open invite for the educators. Right, I've got business cards with me. You've got my contact coming out of here. If there are things that we can custom tailor, where you want to come in and see what we do, you want to bring students in to see what we do, we can certainly facilitate that and be happy to host you. So that's my open invite.
All right, so we got about 5 minutes left. If there's any questions from the audience, be happy to take them. None? Sir, I think they might be hungry. Oh, Ryan?
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Ryan Willoughby. I'm with Jordan Vocational High School, College, and Career Academy. Thank you all for what you do for us already. I actually wanted to kind of flip the script a little bit because we were talking about helping you guys to find employers or employees and talent. One of the things that we struggle with is finding the sort of talent to fill our CTAE jobs, to find those individuals who have the skill sets necessary to train the next generation. Have you all given some consideration to ways to in-house take some of the talent that you guys have that are maybe moving out from you, that are retiring, that are going on, and then funneling them into the local education system so that we can kind of harvest that talent and kind of regenerate it from within?
I think that's an excellent idea. I love that. I can't say that we are doing that. I do know that we have hired some teachers into our training program. So we've kind of done it the other way, like taken from the Definitely done that. But I love that idea, and I'm going to take that back as people transition to other things. They've got experience with their feet on the ground in corporate America and what's needed to be successful. So I'll definitely keep that in mind. I'll
Audrey,
pass
I
it
think Dr. Lewis would like to talk to you after this.
on. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think we have a huge opportunity on the healthcare side. I'll talk to Jan Woodham. She's very involved, as you well know, with Jordan graduate, actually running all of our HR for both of our hospitals. Just and been with us for like 33 years or something. But that's a great opportunity, I think, for us to continue to grow these types of connections. Because the instruction piece, most nursing programs, just so everyone knows, most nursing programs have told us we can grow, we don't have instructors. And so to get some folks maybe on the backside of their career to kind of re-engage and bringing up the next generation is a really fantastic idea. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, I can speak from experience on that. When I got out of the Marines, I went to school to be a tool and die maker at a two-year university, a two-year college. And the instructor was an old retired tool and die maker, and he didn't hold no punches. You know, he based your grade off attendance because he said the boss don't care. You got to be here. So part of your grade was based on that. And he for me, it wasn't bad. Because I was, I said, just got out of the Marines. I knew to be there at times and all that stuff. But some of the younger guys, it was a real shock to their system to have this, guy in his early 60s with a big beard coming up to him, and that sucks. You shouldn't, that's not right. You got to do it this way. That's not what I told you. But it was real, and that's what you're going to get in real life. So that's great. And I think a lot of people that are retiring at a younger age would be definitely interested in doing that.
Yeah, not a whole lot to add there. I think that's a real opportunity, and happy to talk offline how we can help there.
Probably have time for one more question. Anybody? Not seeing any. Sir, turn it back over to you.
Colin, I want to thank you and all of our panelists today for spending some time with us and for sharing your insights. We're really grateful for this opportunity. So again, how about another round of applause? All right, so we're going to move out really quickly. You're not going to get your little 5-minute transition period here. Most of you can probably smell lunch starting to be set up out in the hallway, but we're going to go through a real quick, what I would call a 15-minute power chat. And what I want to start off with is, over the past 2 years, as I've been involved in economic development here locally, I have been pleasantly surprised with how much our educators are at the forefront of community development. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that much of the success that Chips for Chips has enjoyed is really, and when we talk about setting conditions for industry attraction, but much of that is enabled by the foresight and the planning of our local educators. So again, as we get ready to serve lunch here, I'm going to ask Dr. John Lester to come up here and join me. John is the Chief Engagement Officer at Columbus State. He is going to provide you a brief overview of the many exciting initiatives that Columbus State is undertaking to meet the needs of industry and to better serve our community. So please join me in welcoming the man between you and lunch, Dr. John Lester.
Thank you, Andy. I love the number of times you pointed out I am between you and lunch, so I will stick to my time frame. But thank you for letting us be here today. I am a poor substitute for President Rayfield, who would love to be here. She is in Tennessee for mandatory NCAA meetings. Otherwise, she'd be here for this very important initiative. So again, pleasure to be here for just a few minutes. I want to just follow up on the brief chat that we just had and let you all know that we hear you. We've got a lot of educators in the room, our academic leadership is here, and as we are retooling our career center, as we're retooling our academic advising program, as we're retooling our core curriculum, what you heard today is why. We are aware of these issues. Obviously, we think we can solve them all in higher education. I think the deans might tell you that that's not quite true, but we're working on it. And our goal here is to provide that next generation of talent for this region. So I want to focus in on a couple of just key areas that Andy set me up for. Talk a little bit about robotics and mechatronics and advanced manufacturing and some of the things that we've been doing in those areas. And we have been working on building a robotics ecosystem in this area for years. We've got more than $5 million in federal grants over the past few years. And in true academic fashion, I just want to give you a little historical context about some of these things. I'm not going to go back all the way to 1996 when the Coca-Cola Space Science Center was founded, but I do want to point out that their role in STEM education is critical, and they've been very, very important in building a robotics ecosystem in this area for years, working with the schools specifically and working with kids. And that led in 2019 to the university being approved for its first robotics engineering program. It is still the only robotics engineering program in the state of Georgia. For us, robotics engineering is a combination of computer engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, manufacturing engineering. Translation, it's advanced manufacturing. And so when you're thinking about what that is, it is the people, the programming, the computers behind the plants that you're hearing about at Pratt Whitney and at Kia. It's the people who service and design those lines. Think of it this way. Those are the people that are creating the assembly lines at Kia West Point and at the Hyundai Motor Plant going up over in Savannah. I know you heard from Stuart earlier, but I just want to reemphasize that, speaking of Kia, is that plant over near Savannah, under construction now, creating 8,500 new jobs in this state. Estimated investment of almost $8 billion. That's why Columbus State University is starting a new Korean Institute here. It's why we sent a team of students to South Korea this summer. It's why we're home to the nation's first campus club of the Korean Defense Veterans Association. In 2023 alone, Korean companies invested more than $10 billion in Georgia. 12,000 jobs just in 2023. So with about 5% of Columbus State University's faculty being of Korean descent, this is an opportunity we got to take advantage of. So we're working on that also. How does robotics fit into this? We're working through that right now. We've got a program that's growing. It started in 2019, as I mentioned. The next 5 years, we're expecting to have 100 undergraduates and 30 master's degree students. We're just now starting to graduate students in that program. Every single graduate we've had has got a job or is in graduate education. It's successful, and it is designed to do what we're talking about, meet the needs of the next generation. The next date I want to give you is 2022, when we got a grant for $636,000 from DOE to successfully integrate robotics into formal education, both in the school district and at the university level. During the past fiscal year, every high school and middle school in Muskogee County School District received 4 robots and 4 expansion sets, whatever that is. Every pre-K through 5 elementary school was a recipient of 3 robots, 2 expansion sets, and 2 essential robots. Again, whatever that is. 2 programs of professional education are created by the Space Science Center that have led to 46 different sessions of professional development, serving 227 educators in this region. The Space Science Center staff worked with the first LEGO League, developing competitions at 45 we had 45 Muskogee County School District teams participating in a variety of robotics competitions, with 2 local school district teams winning at the state level. This is the kind of thing that's going on behind the scenes. Over 82 formal curriculum units have been developed. Robotics are currently being used in everyday academic instruction at 8 schools in Muskogee County School District, with that number expected to increase exponentially by the end of next year. As teachers and students acquire these proficiencies, we'll continue to provide support in that area. Next date I want to give you was 2023, when we got a $4 million HUD grant for a STEAM Collaboration Center. $4 million. That was last year, but I'm going to put a pin on that and talk about that in a second. This past year, we got a $550,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Education for CHIPS education. How do we work with the school system again, with our different colleges, to develop workforce demand curriculum associated with manufacturing and development of domestic chip production? It's right in line with what Andy was talking about. How do we develop academic programming for that next generation of workforce? This grant so far has been used to send 2 robotics professors to professional development, and we had a seminar on campus about a month ago to start talking about what are the needs that you all have that we can provide through this curriculum. That's ongoing. Next date, August of last year, Columbus State University unveiled a new 5-year strategic plan. Sometimes strategic plans are nice things you put on a shelf. At Columbus State, it's our Bible. President Rayfield has dictated that student success is going to be our #1 priority. But there's 4 pillars in that strategic plan. I want to read 2 of them. Community impact, driving innovation and creating opportunities for continued economic development and quality of life in this region. Next one, economic competitiveness, elevating the university to be a destination of higher education and contribute to the vitality of the Chattahoochee Valley. Those are the pillars of what we're doing for the next 5 years. That's where we're focused. A couple more dates. December of '24, Governor Kemp announces a unified high-demand career list to strengthen the workforce in the state. You all probably heard we are the top state in which to do business for 11 years running. The governor now wants us to be the top state to develop talent. This list helps that align. I happen to know that President Rayfield has already met with Superintendent Lewis and President Todd at Columbus Tech to figure out how we can all be working together toward developing, again, our curriculum to meet these professions. June of this year, Columbus State University signed an agreement with Fort Moore that will allow the university to expand its robotics engineering program into a new 25,000 square foot building on the Post. They're cutting ribbon on that next month. There's a lot going on in that facility that I'm hoping we can be a part of, but I think that could be another center of robotics and advanced manufacturing in this area. Next date I want to talk about is today. Because any moment now, I've been checking my phone, not to text nasty messages to General Donahoe, but to see if the governor's budget has been released. Because today we should find out if we are in the governor's budget for a new 36,000 square foot building on this campus. Remember the $4 million grant I talked about and we got a couple years ago? We want to leverage that with $2 million from the school system, $4 million in private donations, and $12.2 million from the state for a new center on this campus that will be home to our growing robotics program and side by side with the Space Science Center, which would move from downtown onto main campus. This would provide additional instructional spaces and laboratories for our robotics engineering program, allow for the Space Science Center to move and expand, serve as a regional hub for robotics education, testing, and innovation, allow us to educate our students as well as school system students. What we envision is a space where kids K through 12 come in as part of the Space Science Center and they see a clean room over there where we've got graduate students in robotics developing the next generation of whatever. Same time, we've got graduate students in there. They see kids next door. They figure out how they can inspire that next generation. That's our hope for this facility. The legislative session this year just started. We got to watch this, so we won't have any renderings or announcements about this until the end of the session, but keep your fingers crossed that this will be happening. So I'm not telling you all this just to prep you for the history quiz, but to let you know that Columbus State University has been working and continues to work to try and empower the next generation and prepare them for the jobs that you have and you will have. Which leads me to one more date, and that's Monday, January 21st, because that's the date that we have a new chief academic officer starting. And for most of you, that's not really significant, but for us, it is, because Dr. Shannon Campbell understands that the next generation of universities does not look like today's. You heard from this panel, and you've likely heard today many times, that a lot of people are questioning the value of higher education, and we understand that. And while study after study has shown that a college degree will lead to $1 million or more in lifetime earnings over a career, we cannot be the same university that you think of because it's a 4-year degree. We have to be more. Our new provost understands that we need to be A, hyper responsive to local needs, and B, prepared to deliver on those needs in very new ways. We need to be the place where you go to learn, to relearn, or become an expert. For example, if your organization needs to ramp up a department on the use of AI or data analytics, our team at Continuing and Professional Education can put together a week-long program for you, as they've already done at 2 military bases. Maybe you need to switch careers and become a cybersecurity expert. You could enroll in our 1-year certificate program, and before you're done, get 5 industry certifications. And all those credits can lead to a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. Let's say you're an adult worker who's been in and out of college for the last several years and don't really have a degree. We have a Bachelor of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies that can turn random credits and partially completed majors into an organized and achievable career path. With enough prior credit, this program can be done in 2 semesters. You get your degree. Maybe you're a young Army officer thinking about how to leverage your future, and you're in the Army's career course. We will provide 9 academic credits for completion of an Army Captain's Career Course into 3 different master's degree programs here at Columbus State. Those are the kind of programs and programming that we need to do as an institution, and that's where we're going in the future. Thank you. I gave you a minute and 15 seconds early to get to lunch. So Andy, I'll take questions if you have any for next minute and 11 seconds. Thank you.